I woke up this morning to see something that I couldn't quite believe. Something so controversial that I knew a lot of people were going to have something to say about it. And I'm one of those people, so let's get into it. Sorry, just taking a sip of tea from this giant Sports Direct mug. I'm still not well, but the tea is helping. And speaking of tea, so there's been a tour announced by Five Finger Death Punch, which on its own is something of a divisive issue in the metal community these days anyway. But then you've got the support act, Slaughter to Prevail, who we'll get onto in a minute, but also as main support, Marilyn Manson. Now, I don't want to talk explicitly about any accusations or crimes being investigated, and the crimes that have been charged are a bit too much to mention here, but we need to address some things about this lineup. Marilyn Manson, who all our parents spent our childhoods telling us was no good. You know, they used to say, you stay away from that Marilyn Manson, he's a bad man. And we were like, don't tell me what to do, Mom, he's misunderstood. Turns out they were right. Turns out he's not just a bad man, he's a dangerous and disgusting criminal. Again, I don't want to go into the details of the crimes, but all online if you want to go and check out all the details for yourself. He's one of those figures in pop culture where everybody thinks he's a bit of a weirdo, but everyone knows his name. And then you've got a load of people who were fans and just kind of paid no attention to that and, you know, liked his music for what it was. But now, like now, how can you still be a Marilyn Manson fan today? How can you still want to go and see him live after all of that has come out? Now, I've got no problem with people liking the music if you can separate the art from the artist. That is something that everybody has their own spectrum on. If you can separate the art from the artist, look, I love The Matrix. He was on the Matrix soundtrack. You know, I'm not going to boycott The Matrix just because he's on it or something. If you like the music for what it is, that's completely fine. But how can you want to go and see him live? And I get that he's not the headliner, but how can you want to spend your time and your effort and your money going to support somebody who you know has been convicted of terrible things like that? Not to mention the fact that he's just shit live. Now, we saw him at Download in 2018, and I can honestly say it was one of the worst live performances I've ever seen. Just this husk of a man lumbering around the stage, singing his own songs out of key. How is he still a functioning touring musician? And then you've got Slaughter to Prevail, who are the middle stage of the Pokemon evolution between Brutality Will Prevail and I Prevail. Their lead singer, Alex Terrible, who has a very appropriate name, really famous for his powerful screaming. But what I didn't know until fairly recently is that he's got not one, but several tattoos. Now, apparently he did get some of these covered up, but if you're old enough to get a tattoo, then you're old enough to understand what those symbols mean. And then there's been loads of supposedly homophobic and transphobic comments made by him online, which started off as him just giving his opinion on traditional family values, which, yeah, can be offensive, but when people kind of address that with him and not call him out, but just, you know, kind of explain to him that, you know, your idea of traditional family values, it can be seen as homophobic because of this. He doubled down and went on a series of just progressively more unhinged transphobic, homophobic rants, and really kind of showed his true colours on the issue. Now, if he'd have just left it as that kind of, look, we all have our own opinions, I have my opinion as to what constitutes a family, a normal family, you can agree to disagree and walk away from that. If he doubles down on things and starts being actively offensive to people, then that's where it becomes problematic. And it all just paints a picture of someone who's terrible in more than just name. And then the headliners of this tour, Fast and Furious Dandelion Picker, they're a band who, despite getting bigger and bigger over the last decade, however long it's been, kind of have this anti-movement against them in the metal and alternative community. Go back 10 years, and even I used to love listening to them. They're probably one of the highest listened to artists on my Spotify at the time, if you go back that far. But then you grow up a bit and you kind of realise that it's just angry country music, singing about America and guns and war, and not in the cool way that like Sabaton do it, like more in like the Modern Warfare 2 lobby kind of way.
Oh, riot shield! I'm a that use riot shield!
Oh, I'm a... What do you want me to use? You tell me what you want to use.
The lead singer, Ivan Moody, he does have a troubled past, and it seems to be something that he's very remorseful for, but again, won't go into accusations and allegations and stuff. You can look at that all online if you want the full context. But when we saw Five Finger Death Punch in 2013, I think it was, he did seem like a genuinely caring person. He made sure everyone in the audience was okay. He got kids up on stage, and when one of the security guards, you know, looked like they were manhandling one of the kids, he made a point of telling the security guard off in front of everyone. I don't think he's a bad person. I think he's just done bad things, and I think the band sings about things maybe that a lot of people disagree with, and I think there's been a big cultural shift on them over the last decade. When they first came out, those first few albums, I think a lot of people did already kind of make their mind up and be like, yeah, I don't like this, I'm never gonna like this, I understand it for what it is, it's not my thing, I'm just gonna move on. But a lot of people did like them. A lot of people kind of saw them as, this is one of the biggest metal bands around right now. Are they, you know, a lot of people still tout them as future Download headliners, which wouldn't be my thing. But they have become a bit of a meme in the sense that they are seen as kind of like the monster drinking, Axe body spray, you know, middle American teenage angsty metal band for beginners. And I think that does them a disservice to the actual musical talent they've got, but it also perfectly encapsulates what you imagine as a Five Finger Death Punch fan. It just seems like the perfect trifecta of problematic bands. And although it's only currently happening in the US at the minute, it'll no doubt be a European leg and a world tour, and they'll come to the UK. So look forward to the UK dates with support from Lost Prophets. I just don't get who signed off on this as a good idea, who sat down and went, right, let's get convicted criminal Marilyn Manson and a band who've been actively transphobic online and have them support a band that shills for the American military complex. Actually, maybe it does make more sense when you say it like that. If you're still genuinely a fan of any of these artists, I don't want this to come across as like a dig at anyone, but let us know why you're still a fan of those artists. I'm without judgment, without jumping down anyone's throat. I'm genuinely interested to know. Thank you very much for watching. At the end of this month, we're building up to the biggest video that we've ever made. So subscribe down below and you'll find out all about it when it drops. Now, to end with some wholesome news, guess who's going to be announcing a UK tour very, very soon?
Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see something really similar to that, you can click up here and watch that. And if you want to see something that's absolutely not that, completely different to that, click up here and watch that. And you should just subscribe to us here. Thank you.